Hi, this is Travis with POSGuys.com. Today we're going to take an in-depth look at the PX940 and particularly the verifier option on it. So there's been industrial printers before that have had verifiers, but they've been a little different where the verifier usually is kind of mounted to the top of it, and then you have this external barcode scanner that points down at the labels, and it'll scan the labels as it's getting printed and then keep a record of ones that are good or bad. This PX940 is really integrated with the verifier so that not only can it record a log of the labels, but it grades them and it'll also reject labels. So if you take a look at some of the rejected ones that we've seen, we ran some tests and it prints hash marks on labels that should not be used. During normal printing, it prints great. These are thermal transfer labels. And they look just like the screen. You have a good read on it. These would be all A quality labels. If we want to test a bad label, like you have a mark on the label, so I'm just going to rewind these. So we're going to print over some of the labels that we have already, and that way it'll create an unreadable label. If I go ahead and print again, so you can see how it rejected the label, and then when it rejects it, it puts hash marks on the label, and then it keeps printing, or it will repeat a set number of times or until it prints a good label. So there. Eventually it got to a label that it could print that got a good read. And these other labels are all marked out. So that's automatic. And then you can either set it to pause the printing when that happens or to just continue on. And so you could print a whole roll of labels and then the bad labels would just be marked off on it. So a really good option, especially if you're a type of business that can't have bad labels. You get marked down for having a bad label, or your order will be rejected if the label can't be read. So this is a way to ensure that all your labels are perfectly readable. Besides the verifier, some of the standout features of the PX940 is its take-up system for the ribbon. On other printers that we've used, you need two cores. One on the new ribbon, and then it wraps up onto a new core, and then when you're done with this ribbon, you take that core and you use it for the next one, so it kind of keeps rotating between used cores and new cores. This 940 does it a little different, so if you're going to be switching ribbons a lot, this is a great feature. But this button right here can be pressed in, and when it's pressed in, it releases the ribbon, and then you can pull the whole thing off and put on a different ribbon. So if you like to switch between resin ribbons and wax ribbons, then this system is kind of a cool way of switching ribbons without having to have a couple dozen extra cores lying around. Additionally, the system for keeping pressure over the label is a pretty good one. Go ahead and lock the print head back down. So these are adjustable here. So these can slide over. So if you have a very thin label like we do here, put these two weights together and then they're adjustable. You can turn this dial and it'll put different amount of pressure on the label. So that way you can ensure that the print head is pushing evenly on the labels and it creates a little nice read. You can lighten the pressure by twisting the other way, and then when you have a wider label, you can spread it out. There's also an adjustment on this side to adjust the tension on the ribbon itself. If you inevitably get a jam, which happens with every printer, taking out the main roller is fairly easy to do. You lower down the verifier, and once that's out, then this is the main roller right here, and you can pop it out by twisting this and then pulling, and then the main roller comes out so that you can easily clear any jams. So the PX940 is a very advanced industrial printer that's very well built. They put a lot of time and effort into some of the little things, even the door that lifts. Normally the door lifts like this, but their door has a little bend in it so that it takes up less room. You can put it closer to you know, your extra rolls and stuff. Instead of having to put, you know, so much room to there, you can make it a little shorter. So that's a nice touch. There is 2 different sized cord ribbons, either the 3-inch or the 1.5-inch. That has to be pre-installed by the factory, so depending on what labels you're using, please select the correct version of that. And then there's options for having the verifier or not having the verifier, and having an automatic rewinder. If you're going to be printing large runs and using the verifier, then I recommend getting the internal rewinder, so that way the verifier and the winder can work together to shift, because when it does verification, sometimes it needs to pull back the ribbon to rescan it again. So the internal rewinder is highly recommended if you're going to be printing, you know, 1 to 20 labels and then tearing them off. Then you don't necessarily need the internal rewinder for that. You can go without it. For more information or to purchase, please visit us at POSGuys.com. Thanks.